All right, I made it home from Florida, and I want to tell you a little bit about the Goliath grouper trip I just took. I posted one little video, me reeling one in, but I wanted to kind of explain everything that went into it because I was not prepared for exactly what was going on. It was really a pretty cool deal. But basically what we did is we got there, showed up, went out there, and first thing we did was looking for bait. And when you do that, it's not looking for a cast net, throw it out there, got some little bait. It was take a bow and you shot stingrays. So that was a whole experience in itself because I am not a hunter. I'm a fisherman and I had little experience with a bow. So that was something I had to kind of figure out as we went along there. And the captain, he showed me exactly what to do, and he was shooting, so I'd let him shoot first. And if he got it, cool. If not, I would take a shot at it. And I think we were trying to get 3 stingrays a piece, and they would range from like the size of like a dinner plate to even a little bit bigger. And I guess the bigger the stingray, the bigger Goliath grouper you had a chance of catching. The little ones would also bite that, and I'll get to that, but it was a little bit slow. It was a little tricky catching those or shooting those stingrays. We didn't see a lot of them in the beginning. There was a ton of snook and redfish. We saw a couple of cobia swimming around. That was really cool. We even saw a Goliath grouper up in 2 foot of water. His belly must have been rolling on the bottom. The captain and his wife, they said they had never seen that before, and it was definitely interesting. It looked like I thought it was a baby manatee when we first saw it swimming out of there, and they said it was probably a 300 or 400 pound fish. I'm guessing he was up there, whether he was eating stingrays or he was eating the snook and reds and everything else that was swimming around. I'm not sure, but that was a cool way to get the day started, was seeing him. And we got, I think, 1 at the first spot, and then we moved to a different area. There's little sandbars, and they like to get on that sandy spot where there wasn't any algae growing. And you had to kind of sneak up on them and you let it rip. So I think we ended up with 4 or 5 of them we ended up with. I shot one. It was a good size one. I actually think that's what I caught one of the Goliaths on, or 2 of the Goliaths on. And it was definitely interesting way to start the day. I'll just put it that way. So then from there, we went to the spot where we were going to be Goliath fishing. These were pilings. There was these big metal concrete abutments where they used to tie off, I'm guessing, big cargo ships and that sort of thing. And I went up to the front of the boat where you see me sitting on there, kind of got in my position, and had a rod that had, I believe he said 800 pound test. It was freaking, it looked like rope. And there wasn't that much on it, to be honest. Like, I was expecting those fish to be super powerful, strong, fighting, peel and drag. And they peeled it, but they'd go dart, 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 and then you pull them back up, and then dart, dart, dart. And the fight lasted maybe 2, 3, 4, 5 minutes, something like that. It wasn't super long. So we had the big rod, big reel. This rod was made for catching fish that are 400 or 500 pounds. We did not come across any of those when I was fishing. But the first spot we pulled up to with the big circle hook, I think he said it was a size 20 or 21. It was meat hook, like giant. Hooked the stingray right through the lips is what they did. And then the captain was driving up on his little spot there. It had like a little tower, so he was sitting up there driving. He also had a trolling motor on the front that he was controlling handheld. And then his wife was working the stingray. So we'd pull up to it, she'd lower it down, lower it. It had a 1 pound weight above the stingray, about say a foot. Let it hit the bottom, and then I'd crank 2, 3 times and just hold. And what you were doing is you were waiting for that feel of that fish where either they went and like smacked it just like a bass would, like a largemouth flipping a jig, like that bite you would feel, or it would just kind of get heavy, which was really hard to distinguish between that stingray that's the size of a dinner plate to like a almost trash can lid swimming around. And so it took a little bit of feel. The first bite I had though, it smacked it, and the idea was when it did that, you'd hold your rod tip at like a 45. You go 1, 2, 3, and you wanted to get that rod and kind of bury it against the edge of the boat. And that was where you got your leverage point from. And this took a little bit to get used to because I've never done that fishing before. And when you do that, he'd watch me drop the rod tip. As soon as I hit the edge of that boat, I would start cranking like crazy, and he'd throw the boat with the big motor in reverse to help set the hook. And that was how you were driving this hook home into the mouth of this Goliath. It was an awesome experience. It was really cool. Definitely interesting because the first fish, I missed it. I can't remember if that one came back. We fished around there for a little bit longer. And as we were fishing around there, the captain, he was driving the boat, but he would also use that trolling motor, and he would just steer us right around the pilings. And basically, I was just holding the bait right off the bottom, and they would just come over and they would come grab it off there. But he was using the boat. It was really impressive how he was doing two things at once and figuring that all out. So the second spot we went to was where you'll see the video where I caught those fish. I ended up catching 3 Goliaths that day. He said the biggest one was right around 80 pounds. The smaller one was probably 70, 60, 70, somewhere in there. And I caught 3 back to back to back, all on the same stingray. I got over there and we dropped it down there. And these were fish that weren't going like the thud and you try to hook them that way. These ones were kind of get mushy feeling, if you know what I'm talking about, like when you flip in and all of a sudden it starts kind of swimming off or whatever. It was sort of doing that. So the first one, I dropped the tip real, and he starts reversing and we missed it, or I missed it, or however you want to look at it. I just don't think the Goliath, from what he would explain, had the full stingray in his mouth, because at that point we were using a pretty sizable stingray. We were trying to get a big one. So when that didn't work, we went, and actually that one got pulled off. I think the Goliath had stolen it. So we went to a smaller one. I think that's the one I shot. It was like the size of a dinner plate. Put that down there. I actually missed it again the first time, but when I dropped the rod tip right back down, and all of a sudden it goes, and it real, and I got him that time. So that was the first one I caught, and it was awesome. It was battle. The fight was on. Got him up next to the boat. They got some pretty wicked teeth in them. Like you pulled him up. The captain had to hold him with a pair of gloves on so he wouldn't get cut. And then I was grabbing him outside like the jawbone in more of the fleshy, scaly part, trying to get a picture. So I got a couple cool pictures. I'll show you that. And then that stingray was still on there. Dropped it back down, and it goes, hits it again. And I reel. Got that one right away. That was pretty cool. So then I had 2 in the matter of probably, say, 10 minutes or less. At my point, my arm was starting to feel it a little bit. I was wondering what was going on. Like what happens if a really big one did bite? Say that was, the first one I think was 70. This one was like a 60 pounder. But I was starting to get a little worn out. Well, we go back over there again. Same stingray still on there. Drop them down. This one, it hits it and it misses it. And I thought I had it at first. We actually had it, I think, hooked for a half a second. And then Kelly, the captain's wife, had picked it up a little bit to see if the stingray was still on there, and it was. So she went and started to lower it again. As it was lowering, that fish must have been sitting down there, and it came flying up, smacked it, and it went, and that's where you actually see her as she's dropping it. It goes, pulls it right out of her hand, and that one was on. That was the biggest one I caught. It was like an 80 pounder. At this point, it was 3 fish in a matter of 15, 20 minutes. My arm was done. So we ended up going out and to the Gulf, and we were using little swim baits. We were catching some Spanish mackerel, blue runners, bluefish. That's how we ended the day. It was a lot of fun. Highly recommend checking them out if you're looking for it. I believe his name was Captain Casey McDowell. I'll put a link in the bottom if you have a question about it, shoot me a message. I'm happy to get you that info. But if you ever get a chance to do it, I highly recommend it. It was on my bucket list. It's one of those things I've always wanted to do. I still wouldn't mind doing it maybe one more time, trying to catch one of those 300, 400, 500 pound ones. I think it'd be really a crazy experience, I guess, or I just hope it bites on the first drop. I don't hope it's not, I catch 2 or 3 of them first and then I get that one, because this has been, I think, almost a week now since we've done that. You could feel it in your forearm and your bicep right in there. It locked it up from holding on to that fish as hard as you could. So I hope you guys like this. If you have any questions about it, like I said, let me know. I don't know anything really about it other than what I just told you. Whole new experience, like I said. But I hope you guys have a great day. do me a favor, you could subscribe, like, comment on this. Let me know if you like what's going on. I'm going to have a walkthrough of the boat, I swear, coming up at some point here. It hasn't been super nice out around home, so I'm running down to Texas. Going to go check out Toledo Bend for our first tournament, so I'll have a couple more videos coming up soon. But thanks for watching, and we'll talk to you again soon.
There he is. Oh, it's a bigger one.
This is a serious pull when they get up. Is that how far much line actually leave out?
Yeah, it's like 3 feet or something.
Okay.
Oh my gosh.
Trying to keep his nose at the surface. He's ready though. Keep his nose up. Come on, boy, pull. Tournament winner. That's good right there.
Nice work.